About 6 months ago, Eric's daughter, Megan, my stepdaughter, or step-friend, as we call each other, announced her engagement. And with that, the flurry of planning began for a November wedding just a few months later. When that beautiful invitation arrived in the mail, I hung it on the fridge. That's where all invitations go. That invitation, I think, meant something a little different for all of us. Of course, for Eric and me, and I would guess for Carolyn, it meant we'd be adding a wonderful man to our family. And for Carolyn, it meant that one of her lifelong dreams of being a flower girl was going to come true. And for Eric, it also meant brewing some craft beer specifically for that reception. And P.S., it was really good. Invitations are powerful. They are pregnant with possibilities. Whether it's to a wedding or a new job or coffee with a new friend, or perhaps a significant other, we might very well encounter something that changes our lives when we accept that invitation. We're in the season of Epiphany in the church calendar. It's the series of Sundays that varies depending on the date of Easter, between the Feast of the Epiphany on January 6th and the last Sunday in Epiphany, which is the Transfiguration. Always that story. Our gospel stories have one main purpose during Epiphany. They reveal something about Jesus's divinity, who he truly is. And he reveals this truth as he encounters average, everyday people going about their lives. Today, this revelatory encounter begins with an invitation. This morning's gospel story places us in Galilee at the beginning of Jesus' ministry, having already called Peter and Andrew the day before. Jesus finds Philip. It feels both random and entirely purposeful. Jesus utters just 2 short words of invitation: follow me. And with those words, Philip becomes a disciple. And then cut scene. Philip finds Nathanael, his friend, and says, "Guess who we have found? The one Moses and the prophets wrote about, Jesus, the son of Joseph of Nazareth." Nathanael is invited to become Philip's +1. Nathanael's a little skeptical. What good can come from Nazareth, he asks. We don't really know what that's about. Perhaps this is some small town rivalry. Perhaps, as a faithful Jew, he's thinking that no king of Israel can come from that part of the kingdom. Philip urges Nathanael to reconsider. Come, see for yourself. But before Nathanael even has a chance to size Jesus up for himself, Jesus tells Nathanael who he is. You're an honest man. There's no deceit in you. How could you know this? Nate wonders. I saw you under the fig tree. Jesus notices Nathanael, and Jesus knows him. And it's more than just recognizing someone that we might be familiar with across the room. Jesus is communicating in his words that he knows Nathanael deep within his soul. And Nathaniel then, the momentary skeptic, turns on a dime, really, and revelation, Epiphany, has struck. He calls Jesus titles that far exceed his dismissive guy from Nazareth just a few minutes before. Rabbi, Son of God, King of Israel. How could he know that? How could Nathaniel move so quickly to this confession of faith? There must have been something powerful, almost magnetic in that encounter. I suspect it was that Jesus's divine ability to know someone deeply, intimately, and powerfully at first glance, that ability is what made this possible. Perhaps you know what it feels like to be known by someone in that way, who knows you just for who you are and loves you that way. That's the sort of knowing that the poet of Psalm 139 writes about today. Being known only the way that God can know us. Nathaniel and Philip had an encounter with the sacred, with the divine when they met Jesus there in Galilee. They knew something about Jesus in a flash that they couldn't have otherwise known. This is Epiphany. And they could see something spiritually that they could not have just seen with their eyes. They are changed. Life is changing. And this is just the beginning, because Jesus invites them to more. He ups the ante. He says, you ain't seen nothing yet. You'll see the glory of heaven, angels descending and us ascending before this is all over. God's glory will be revealed. And while this image of angels ascending and descending may sound a little strange to us, any faithful Jew would have caught the illusion. Jesus is talking about the old story of Jacob's dream, where exhausted, wore out Jacob sleeps, and he has this vision of God, of angels ascending and descending a ramp from heaven. And Jacob, through this dream, recognizes that he was in the presence of God. Jesus is saying, I'm not just a messenger. Through me, you have a direct encounter with God. You might be calling me by the right name at this moment, but you will have to follow me to understand how this plays out. There's more to the story, and it's going to be amazing. Jesus knows you. Jesus sees you, and Jesus invites you to experience more. More love, more wholeness, more connection to God. There might be all sorts of reasons why we might not want to open up that invitation from Jesus and put it on the fridge, to add it to our calendar or to-do lists. We see how the first disciples dropped everything, their jobs, their homes, their families, in order to follow this rabbi. Might we worry a little about what we could lose if we accept whatever invitation Jesus is inviting us to next? Will we have to change? Chances are something will. Encountering Jesus in a deeper way tends to do that. Here's good news. Jesus calls us all the time. It isn't just a one and done. It's not an invitation to a wedding and one event in time. It's not like signing up for Amazon Prime and you're set for not life with annual renewal on your credit card. Jesus' invitation is ongoing and it doesn't cost us anything. And that invitation is always the same. I see you and know you. Come see me for who I am. Follow me and know me. Let me show you how much I love you. I want you to experience how my kingdom changes you and sets you free. The God who knows us fully, who has searched us and knows us, who can discern our thoughts and knows what we are going to say, the one who formed us from the depths of the earth. This God invites us to come near and to abide in his love. What compels you to come and see? What compels you to come to church today, on Zoom, most of you, to participate in Bible studies or Sunday school, to get up at the crack of dawn and to serve breakfast to hungry people, to spend time in prayer, to volunteer on vestry or a building committee or worship committee or whatever it is that this community of faith invites you to do? With all of these actions, you have something to say about who you think Jesus is and why Jesus matters. You say so with your lips and with your lives, even if it's not something you might be able to quickly formulate if someone asked. So you've already opened the invitation. You've listened for God's voice and you've said yes. You've shown up, not just to a place, but to seek an encounter with Jesus, who comes to us through bread and wine and scripture and prayer, through one another and with total strangers. It is so good that Jesus has invited you, and it is so good that you have said yes. But like I said, it's not one and done. This invitation is ongoing. The journey continues. What is Jesus inviting you to now? What is that next invitation that's posted on your fridge or circled on your calendar? The one stirring your heart. Where might you follow Jesus next to experience his presence and power?